You know what I've noticed? No one talks about Pocahontas on these theory channels. I guess it's because she's a real figure from history and the movie is pretty straightforward, so other than a history versus movie topic, there isn't a whole lot of room to explore, which is extra sad since it's a movie about exploring. Well, after recently re-watching the Disney animated film, I have a theory to present to you guys. Pause for a second. Do not confuse what I'm about to cover with the real Pocahontas, Native American culture, or history in general. The Disney film is largely based on the accounts from the real John Smith, who was later found to be either extremely confused or just plain lying about his experiences in the New World. So it is not historically accurate in any way, shape, or form. But moving on, there is one mysterious area in Pocahontas that warrants a discussion. Grandmother Willow. Think about it. While on the surface, Granny W is supposed to represent something like a tree spirit, as Pocahontas herself says she knows every tree and they all have a life, spirit, and name.
But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name.
But something doesn't add up there. First, if Pocahontas could know and communicate with everything around her, then why does she only rely on the guidance from one tree? I mean, is it supposed to be the oldest thing around? And surely there's a ton of older rocks that could give Pocahontas equally sage advice, right? And I know, here's where some of you will jump in the comments and complain that it's a kid's movie and no one thought that much about it. Well, it's an animated movie, true, but Disney painstakingly worked on this movie and even removed an animal sidekick of a turkey because they felt there were too many animals running around on screen. So the issue is very rarely that people aren't thinking about the script or how it plays out in the movie, because the creatives think this stuff over too much, if anything. And in this case, willow trees in Native American culture represent inner wisdom, an open mind, and experience, which fits Grandmother Willow perfectly. Also recall that after John Smith gets shot, Pocahontas gives him willow bark for the pain, which was used like aspirin among tribes. So while some companies might throw anything up on screen and not care, Disney is not one of those companies. Everything means something. So since we must assume that everything is important and connected, that means there's one of two ways to explain the relationship between Grandmother Willow and Pocahontas. One option is that Pocahontas actually has a superpower that allows her to speak with the landscape. Now, that's actually probable because Grandmother Willow mentions also speaking to Pocahontas' mother before.
Your mother asked me the very same question.
She did.
So it could be a power handed down from mother to child. However, the movie really doesn't get into those details much, and most of the story is grounded in a realistic setting, not a supernatural fantasy world, so I don't feel like this is the real answer. It's especially hard to accept because Pocahontas gets John Smith to talk to the tree as well. So if anybody can really do it, it's not much of a power. Plus, even though Pocahontas also speaks with the animals, so a superpower seems possible, she seems to interpret their behavior and give them commands rather than actually hear what they're trying to say. And since the animals don't even converse with each other in real words, I find that to be another nail in the coffin that Pocahontas doesn't have a power to communicate with nature. So let's just leave that as a maybe possibility. Actually, we know it's 100% inaccurate that Pocahontas has any kind of powers because Grandmother Willow tells us flat out why the things that happen.
All around you are spirits, child. They live in the earth, the water, the sky. If you listen, they will guide you.
So it's the spirits around Pocahontas, not something like having ice powers. Then option 2, which I think fits a little better, is that Grandmother Willow is actually an ancestor of Pocahontas. Don't call me nuts, hear me out first. Grandmother Willow mentions,
I haven't had this much excitement in 200 years.
well, that's an odd number for a tree to refer to. I can't find anything significant having happened in that area in the early 1400s, so So that kind of makes me believe that Grandma here is referring to her real life or past life when she was alive 200 years ago. It turns out that the Powhatan tribe, which Pocahontas belonged to, actually had several ways of laying a body to rest, one of which was similar to a westernized burial where they would put a body a few inches under the ground and the graves were marked with a line of sticks. How hard do you think it would be for a seed to get mixed into the dirt or for one of the sticks to be a sprig, either of which could become a full tree? Considering the tree's favorable location to lots of water, a sapling plant could thrive and the roots would essentially become one with the body beneath it. I know that sounds so morbid, but it's kind of beautiful too. Someone passed away and became a type of nourishment for a tree so that the human soul can bind with nature, allowing her to live on as Grandmother Willow. And that would make a lot of sense. Not just for why the tree was called Grandmother, but for why a tree, which is essentially ageless, would be an old woman to begin with. It's because that's who it melded with. And because the human was an ancestor of Pocahontas on her mother's side of the family, that's why no one else from the tribe goes to visit or seeks counsel from the tree, which implies that no one else knows it exists. I mean, if I were a leader in this very scary, unsure position with war brewing, I would be consulting all of my elders, humans or trees. So I'm guessing Grandmother Willow's relatives feared how people would react or what they might do to her, and we already see that the Powhatan tribe doesn't deal great with things they find different and frightening. Not that the Europeans were being all that great either, but still, they wouldn't know about the tree to try to burn it down or cut it down or anything. So Granny has become a very well-kept family secret who only comes out to nurture and guide her own beloved descendants. It might not be reality, but theories are more fun! Well, that's all I have for now, but this video's not quite over yet. I get a lot of comments that say, do a theory on this topic, but I've already done those theories. So please consider going to my main channel page and clicking on the video tab so that way you can see everything I've done. You will probably find a lot of things you like that you never even knew that I posted. I want to let you know that I also have two other channels, Say Halo Goodbye Gaming and the Fanily Family Vlogs. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to hit subscribe and share. I can use all the help I can get to let other people know that this channel exists. And if you made it this far, leave me a comment that says something like, hey, I made it to the end, and then let me know what kind of videos you want to see in the future. I can't make any promises, but the more people that request something, the more I can look into it. Okay, well, I love you. I'll see you in the next video.